You've been watching the International Chopin Competition. We're coming to you live from Warsaw. My name is Ben Lottie, and this is Chopin Talk. Well, it's day 2 of stage 2, and we've heard 18 out of the 40 pianists. We're almost halfway there, and that means the man next to me is almost halfway there as well. I'm really pleased to be joined by Mr. Garrick Ohlsson.
Mr. Ben Lottie, what?
The chairman of the jury. Now, what exactly is a jury chair, Garrick? Do they have like a kind of throne for you upstairs?
There's no chair.
There's no chair.
It's just a chairperson. No, no chair.
So what are your responsibilities?
No, I sit in the middle of the front row.
Okay.
And all the rest of the jury changes their seats every stage.
So they revolve around you. You're like the sun.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes. And what kind of responsibilities does that entail, or is it just a kind of honorary kind of title?
It's a great honor. It's honorary, but there are actual functions in which I have to deal with members of the jury who have issues. And perhaps suggestions, and then we have to decide what, and I help Dr. Schlenner, who's the director, and it's a very cooperative venture, but I think I'm a kind of the person that the jury comes to with their issues, worries, complaints, concerns.
A shoulder to cry on?
Sometimes that, but we all need that.
Well, of course. I mean, it's a long and grueling competition. A couple days ago, you stood before the public and you announced the sort of results of the first stage. Mm-hmm. And it would be irresponsible if I didn't mention that. You seemed a little, I don't know, upset, uncomfortable. How were you feeling at that moment, and what was going through your mind?
I wasn't so upset. I was a little uncomfortable because I didn't expect to speak on TV at that point. And it was late, and we had been there about, 39 hours that day, it felt like. So I was just eager to get things moving. But no, the very important thing, and I hope I said it, I was trying to speak more carefully. Usually I talk very fast and I'm very much at ease, but I felt very responsible to those who aren't being invited back, because some of them will feel very devastated. Some of them will just pick themselves up and go on to their next plan. Others feel very bad about it. And I think all of the jury members felt bad about the fact that some of the people, there were several people I gave very high points to, who my colleagues did not see fit to pass through. After all, my vote is only one of 17. And that's sad, but it is the nature of competitions. But it really hurts, perhaps because maybe one of the candidates that I thought got a 23 might have thought that he or she got a 23, and their family and friends and teachers and fans might have thought so too and wondered what happened. Well, nothing happened, because if you read the rules of the competition, we give 25 points per round, and it's pretty automatic. So we don't sit there and argue about who gets through.
Feel free not to comment, but is 23 your sort of high cutoff, or do you have in mind that you're saving?
I don't have those numbers in my head.
So is it possible for someone to get a 25 for you?
Oh yes.
Really? Okay. I imagine some jury members might say, well, I got to save the 25 in case I hear the next Horowitz or something.
Well, yes.
Although he wouldn't. I don't know how well he'd do.
Well, he's no longer available to be a member of the competition. Yes, 25 is the highest score. If I hear somebody who I think does absolutely phenomenally well, I'm happy to give a 25. Because it doesn't mean they're perfect, although it says in the booklet that 25 means perfect. In that case, nobody has ever gotten a 25. Maybe Rachmaninoff would get a 24.
Well, because the music's better than it can be played, of course. So.
All great music is better than it can be played, but I don't want to get hung up on profundity.
But what you mentioned is true, and I noticed how carefully you were speaking, because I'm used to you just being a chatterbox.
I was uncomfortable, it's true. I wanted to be very careful.
I think it's really important what you said, because doesn't it take an extraordinary amount of bravery for all of these pianists to do what they're doing?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that? You've been there before.
I've been there, I've been here, I've been in other competitions, yes. It's tremendous. This is arguably the world's most famous and important piano competition. And now, of course, with coverage on the net, with streaming and so on, you're watched by possibly hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Oh, I hear a piano.
That's right. In 1970, you didn't have a 4K camera sticking right there by your fingers.
Such a thing did not exist. No, we lived in, this was in the Stone Age. And nevertheless, it was broadcast on the radio, and there was lots of TV. And the documentation was amazing. But just as everybody knows, just to be in the Chopin competition, there were 642 or 43 entries, and then there was a preliminary competition in the spring. So just to get here already is a great honor, but it's a great chance to make your name for yourself and to be considered a young pianist. I mean, think of how few spots there were. If you even take all the symphony orchestras of the world and all the piano soloists that they engage, I don't think, I don't know what the numbers are, but there's just never enough space for all these talented people.
Let's talk music for a minute. We're at stage 2. That means we're hearing polonaises this year. We're hearing preludes. Guess what the most played polonaise this year is?
A flat.
We've heard a lot of them.
Opus 53.
It's the heroic year, isn't it?
It's everybody's favorite.
This year, at least, I think we had a sort of andante spianato year in years past. But we're also hearing preludes, and we've heard a lot of D minor preludes in the last couple of days, meaning the last group of 6 or those who chose to play all of them. Garrick, using this book, could you show us just exactly how you play the final 3, well, at least the final 2 Ds of the D minor prelude?
I don't know if I was
down
flattered.
Here, right?
Well, I showed the world.
No, this is where it is. Here's
yes.
the keyboard.
Oh, it's
okay,
down there.
Yeah.
Well, and I believe on a podcast we did together, I think I revealed
That's
my
right,
little
and
secret.
since he brought it up, not me, if you haven't seen the Chopin podcast, Garrick speaks for at least 12 hours about every piece Chopin ever wrote.
I want to mention that for a pianist, playing the last 3 notes of the D minor prelude, it's not hard to play the notes, but they have to be very forceful, very dramatic, and they're the climax, the culmination of the whole thing. So if, as Sviatoslav Richter, the great pianist, said, music is not primarily visual, but there is a visual element. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting down there worried about this, even striking very hard doing that, you're going to look a little afraid. Mm-hmm. But I think it looks much better not to be afraid. Mm-hmm. And so when I first tried it as a young pianist, of course I missed a note. Mm-hmm. And that's terribly embarrassing and very distressing.
Here, I'll put the 2 white keys here, and then we'll have a black key here. Now show us exactly how you...
No, there's no black keys involved. I need 3 whites.
3 whites?
No,
coming up.
Tell you what, give me 2 black ones.
This is how a piano looks, I think.
No, give me 2 black ones. And
okay.
But these are the white keys.
Yes.
That's E, that's C, and that's the target
okay.
G.
You want to hit
now,
the D.
if you take, and 2 of the competitors have done this so far, if you press down these 2 keys, which are closer together, then you can be very theatrical and just, wow, and there's no chance you'll miss this.
But why are you doing
one.
it like this? I thought you... Oh, do you use 3 fingers? Or do you use a whole fist?
I don't use a fist.
Oh.
A fist is dangerous because fist is very big and you might hit a black note.
That's right, but you know who does use the fist?
Who?
Mr. Dong Tai-son, your colleague up in the balcony. In 1980, go look this up, 1980, Dong Tai-son, D minor prelude. He gets to the end and he just brings the hammer down with the fist.
Well, bravo, that's marvelous.
We've seen a couple, I think we've seen at least 1 fist, but we've also seen more who did what you just did.
We've seen, well, actually tonight we've seen one do it like me, and we've seen somebody else do it from the other side.
Yeah, and we saw one yesterday where, I mean, they were, speaking of bravery, they just went for it with a big swing stroke without any protection.
Yes, I know.
So anyway.
But anyway, it's the only reason I invented that was just so it could look impressive because it's nice rather than...
Absolutely.
That looks more like music.
Let's reflect a little on the first round. How many octave etudes do you think you heard out of the 84 competitors in stage 1?
At least 30.
25.
Oh, only 25.
Yeah, but that's still a lot. That was the most. Why do you think that particular etude was the most chosen?
No idea. I didn't choose it when I was a young pianist here, so I...
Can you tell us what etudes you played?
Yeah, Opus 10 number 1, 10 number 2, and 10 number 10. We had to play 3 of different style etudes. It was a different competition.
And this year, instead of multiple etudes, we have a waltz in the first round.
I think why people played the octave etude, I think since there was a choice of different style etudes, each pianist tended to play the etude that they might feel most comfortable with or do best. Because we're all different. You know, the person who plays Opus 10 number 1 is not always the person who plays 10 number 2. So you pick the one that you think you will show best in.
Well, if that's the case, then it's more or less a measure of how comfortable people are with etudes, and that means the one they're least comfortable with is the A minor, Opus 10 number 2.
That makes sense.
10-1 is the one after that.
It's very awkward.
We heard a lot of waltzes.
Yes.
30 each of the Opus 34-1 and Opus 42. I don't need to remind you were there for it. What do you think is so challenging about the waltz genre for
I think
even very extraordinary young pianists?
Several things, yes. I felt that this was the least comfortable moment for most of the first round pianists. They played these are beautiful, charming pieces. And when I heard many of the performances, I felt they must not like them very much because they really want to get them over fast. And, I thought that's probably not what they're doing. They're probably trying to show off how well they play the piano.
They see it as the second etude.
Yes,
in a way,
and which it's not at all. I mean, yes, it requires exquisite skill, but for example, in the first waltz where you have the repeated notes, this is supposed to be charming, and after the diddle, there's a beautiful little melodic figure, and then which often didn't sound very charming or melodic. It often just sounded and I thought, well, it's just going on. It doesn't, and this may be because the current generation, I'm very old, and I saw, of course, I actually did a little bit of ballroom dancing. I had to go to my senior prom. I'm no.
Can you show us?
No,
of course not.
How can I do that? I need a partner.
Well, you're too tall. The cameras wouldn't be able to see you.
I need an orchestra.
Yeah.
Come on, Ben. No, but what I mean is that also I watched Hollywood films when I was young of glamorous European palaces with beautiful people dressed beautifully and chandeliers and orchestras playing, and it's actually a little bit sexy too because you actually get to touch. The waltz was the erotic rage of the 19th century.
Careful, Garrick. This is rated G. Okay.
No, it's
for
not.
all audiences here watching.
It's true. It was a suggestive dance of charm and beauty and great elegance. And that's what I felt many of the competitors did not really achieve. But if you're 20 years old today, you don't grow up with the same films that I grew up with in 1950 and 1960. So I think we do have a cultural shift. But I also feel that the emphasis on speed, I don't know how this has become à la mode, because it's created some problems, and I don't know if we have a moment before we start. But in the Opus 42 waltz, what's clever about Chopin is that waltz is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the charm of this waltz is da ba 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 ba. So is it in 2 or is it in 3? It's in both. And if it goes as fast as it did, the poor pianist has to get the first beat of the bar and get the pedal on it, and then the hands usually struggle a little bit then to get up to this second beat, and very often they're a little bit late. So you almost heard a distorted rhythm in the left hand, ya ya bum 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 bum, which is not a kind of bum 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 bum. It doesn't have a body rhythm, and of course. It's actually, I complained a lot to myself in my notes. It's incorrect. It's not what Chopin wrote.
Well, I just have to cut you off there, but because Garrick began teaching a piano lesson, and if you want to see more of that, well, you can. Just go to YouTube after you finish watching the stream tonight and type in his name and Chopin, maybe podcast as well, and you're going to find him teaching this waltz and many others and all the other genres of Chopin. Garrick, I wish this could have been 2 hours instead of
Well, we usually do talk for 2
minutes.
hours,
That's
yes.
usually how long it goes. Wish your colleagues the best. I hope they're doing all right up there. I hope there's coffee flowing and comfortable seating.
They take very good care of us.
Okay, I'm sure they do. They have to. It was a pleasure.
Nice to see you.
Good luck, and I'll see you around Warsaw.
Enjoy the rest.
You've been watching the International Chopin Competition.
Yeah.
All right, take care, Garrick.
Thanks.
And for Chopin Talk, this is Ben Lottie, and we're going to return to stage 2, day 2. The last 2 performers this evening. We're almost halfway through this stage. More polonaises, more preludes coming soon, and plenty of free repertoire as well. This is a really fun one, so stay with us.